Alright guys, it's Saturday. Time for a little update on the Model A. We've got our Model A chassis, which we're using. This is going to be a hot rod, not a street rod. So we've got our Model A chassis and primer. I started smoothing it. There was a little bit more work I'm doing on the inside of the frame rails, but it's looking really good. The outsides and the underside, that's uh, really smoothed out nice, looking good for paint. Just that inboard that we're gonna. It's pretty much smoothed out good now. It's just ready for more primer to make sure that I don't have anything else goofy going on. There's that floor, our interior floor. That we have because I'm going to show you this. I opened up the trunk lid. Revell gave us a nice fuel cell and a battery box for this car, so being a hot rod, I'm going to leave those in, and we won't. I opened up the deck lid because it would be nice to see that stuff back there. They opened this up, I believe, so you could see the uh, the details back there, fuel cell, the battery box. Um, but since I've opened this up, I'm not going to keep um, this panel between the interior and the trunk open. We're going to use a little flat styrene and build a firewall there. If I was building this car in my driveway, yeah, there's no way that I would keep an open cockpit, uh, an airway between the fuel and the battery and me. So that we're going to close up. And because now the trunk does open, we've got injector pins that were on that floor I'm taking out. The one's left there, it's just about left of center. You can see that's where the fuel cell's going to go, so I left it no harm, no foul. But we wanted to clean up the rest of the trunk floor so it looks good when you take the trunk off. And then that will be closed up. We'll have a nice firewall. We can do some detail on the battery box and then vent it, put a vent tube and stuff out of it so it looks nice and safe anyway. I turned myself loose with a pin vise and started to open up the holes in the bomber seats there. In the dashboard too, they have there's 3 holes at the top of the dash. Those I did with the pin vise and then used an 1/8 inch bit to bevel the hole just to clean it up and finish it. Engine, transmission, the halves are together for mock-up purposes along with the rear differential there, that 9-inch Ford. So like I said guys, it's going to be a hot rod. We're going to go more of a performance look. It won't be finished inside. I may put a hoop, roll bar hoop in there, but we'll have our gauges, just all the stuff to go fast. And so far, this is the cutting and killing stage before we start painting stuff and making it look good. So nothing on the Roadrunner. She's sitting over here alone because I've been on the Model A. So that's it. Then we'll come back when there's something else to report. All right, with a little bit more work on the Model A done, we've got it mocked back up here. And see, we've got the chassis painted. It's in semi-gloss black. We are using gloss black, a real gloss, high gloss black. Keep the light on it there on the rear end. You see on the 9-inch housing there. To play off of the semi-gloss, it's on the chassis. Some contrasting colors. So everything's not the same, not the same tone. Still playing with colors like body and engine, the wheel combo. We've got engine and transmission area and primer, still using those for mock-up just right now. I did drill out spark plug holes in the cylinder heads. And though the seats, those bomber seats, I showed you where we drilled out in the seat, but I also went at the brackets down below. Instead of just a solid bracket, we got a couple holes down there. Trunk floor, we'll go at that some more with some sanding and prime and then wet sand to go through all the steps of the body we would take on the body, because we'll be able to see in there now. And just playing this one, you know, by ear as I go. No big plans. Like I said, it's more of a hot rod than street rod, so more function over form. All right, I'm getting a little bit of work done on the Roadrunner here. Finally, we've got some color that we want to use on the chassis, and that front subframe. We've got the inner fenders and the firewall done. Pretty much jamming the card on the bottom, like all the underhood stuff. Then we'll do the underside of the hood, underside of the body as we work the body. Rims are going to be, as you see, they're body color. This is just a champagne gold. I wanted something that was gold, or gold with a green, slate green hue to it. I'm not going exactly with the Chrysler color or the Plymouth color, but it will look something like this. That's what I've wanted to do. So I found the color that was close. Not going to be exact, nothing's exact with it. Just having fun with this one. The core support and the radiator back there. We've got the Dana rear axle all painted, a battery, just picking out little things and working on them a little bit here and there each night. So it's taking shape. We've got a red line tire to go on those rims with the small Plymouth hubcap, and yeah, then we'll have a little bit of body work to do. There was a line right there at the base of the quarter panel, or the base of the roof line at the quarter panel. We'll have to sand it, you know, as usual, just get it nice and straight and flat, so the primer and paint have something good to go on too. A little bit at a time, folks. A little bit at a time. All right, guys, welcome back. When I built this Charger, Frank, the Charger, I told you I would revisit it and we'd talk about the kits and some problems that had arose, or was problems that we had with the kits. The Country Charger and the Daytona Charger. I didn't go through it then because it was the build of the car was kind of, it is a separate thing. I didn't want to bring the build down, talking about some things that were disappointing to me. Maybe even beyond that, let's just call it what it is. Disappointment would be, well, disappointment was buying a Revell 57 Chevy that was boxed as a Black Widow, like a 210, and getting it home and finding that it's a Bel Air, got Bel Air trim on it. That's disappointing. You know, disappointing would be taking a pretty girl out and then finding out she has more aftermarket parts on her than the hot rod you went out to dinner in. That's disappointing. These cars, the black Country Charger, the body was a complete mess on. The chassis, the flash, the molds, didn't even have it. The lines weren't crisp anymore. The lines, like the things melted together. Now you got to consider this. I'm going to assume that they've done no work on this casting, on this mold, for 53 years, because it looks like crap. The thing started, well, they had a Charger in '68, MPC did. And I don't know if the car was redone and tooled as a '69 or if it was a separate tooling. But then we saw the '69 in '68 come out as a promotional model. That's this car. That's the first time we saw it. It came back as Dick Landy's Super Stock Charger RT. They used it as the stock car of a K&K Insurance Dodge Daytona. It was then in 1979 with the greatest TV show of all times, the Dukes of Hazzard. It was the General Lee, molded in orange. I probably, well, I owned more. I don't want to say I did. I probably owned and wrecked more General Lee Charger models than they did 1-1 cars on that show. So between my brother and I, we had just tons of them. Later in the 80s, the '87, then we saw the flush mount window again as a Charger 500 with a Coronet grille. And it was sometime after that then that the Charger started to get a little sloppy. Some of the mold lines and that wasn't really good on it. And they brought it out again as a General Lee and left the flush mount window, just like Frank here. Frank is a Daytona body. So imagine your disappointment when you open up a General Lee and your tunnel back window has been filled in with the blank for a Daytona or a 500. Now, some people may not even notice, but car guys will notice. So shoot forward to the present day, the last few years here, the Country Charger, black Charger on the box. This is the chassis under Frank is that car, and the interior tub still. The body was so bad that I put it aside and used the one from the Daytona. But this has got much of the same problems. It just wasn't, it was a little bit more workable, let's say, than the black car. So we'll start at the back. The bumper back here wouldn't fit into that groove. The valance and the taillight panel both had to be shaved to just get the bumper in. And it wasn't a deal with flash. It was a deal where it had just been, the pieces were too fat, too big. Both backs of these quarters I had to work right here at the taillight panel. The marker detail on this car was just sucks. Over the years, I'd noticed every time building one, the Charger emblem on the sail panel gets a little finer and a little harder to paint, and looks a little bit more or less like a Charger emblem and like some scribbles. This front fender on this side, this thing's got a big old peak right here. It looks like a Charger that maybe jumped something. The fender, the inner fender, this wheelhouse, look at that odd shape to that. I didn't touch that. That's out of the box. It looks like an out of shape fender. That's about all this car was good for, was a Ratty Charger. The front end, you see over here, guys, on the left side, the driver's side, how that hood is deformed. It's kind of bumped up over here. That's out of the box. The caps of both front fenders are real rough. Out of the box. The turn signals, I drilled them out of this. Wouldn't have made any difference. You'd had to do something with them because there was no detail left in there on what would have been the turn signal lenses. They have a circular pattern into them, and it was just like it was melted. Nothing to do there but drill it out and just say it was a Ratty Charger. You don't have turn signals in it. Now we can argue that because this car is a Daytona, so we have this bumper doesn't fit in here at all. This fender's way out of shape. That, again, out of the box. But we could argue, we could play devil's advocate here for a second and argue that since this is a Daytona, there are cut lines back here, if you've ever had one of these, to cut these front fenders where you would put the nose on. So that means all that trouble that we see up front will be gone. But it still doesn't make it right, guys. And here's the fender wheel opening on this side. See how it looks? Remember the other side, how goofed up it was? So that's about it, I guess. The modern ones, we have a new, I guess it's a new tooling that was done as a General Lee and the sister to the Country Charger, the City Slicker, and a Coca-Cola branded 69 Charger RT. These are snap fit cars. They are new toolings. I would hope, I haven't seen any of them, I haven't bought those cars. I would hope that the body looks a damn sight better than this, because it's just troubling. But out of it, we put both cars together and a bunch of other Mopar stuff from a box, and we got Frankenstein, old Frank the Charger here. It does make me smile when I see it up on the shelf. That's about it, guys. Remember the Shop Truck group build coming up on April 1st. Friday, April 1st, be the first day of it. Not the first day to enter. You can enter anytime you want. You can order it. Well, you can enter anything you want. Remember, it's your shop. Whatever you want, whatever you drive, whatever you would deliver parts in, whatever you would use as a calling card. It's up to you. 24th or 25th scale, plastic, resin, makes no difference. As long as it's not a die cast, just a model. And we'll talk more about that as time comes here. Got another week and 3 or 4 days yet, so we will talk to you then, guys. Thanks for hanging in. This video's a little longer now with me windbagging at the end. So thanks again, guys.